What's happening, people? I hope you're all well. So, someone has come out and said that Lucy Letby could be innocent. And for those who don't know, Lucy Letby was convicted of murdering and attempting to murder numerous babies. Very, very, very sad case. So, I'm going to read the article. I'm going to read the article here. And I'll put a link for it in the description. It says, Letby did not murder babies, medical experts claim. So, child killer, the article reads, child killer Lucy Letby did not murder any babies. A panel of international medical experts reviewing evidence in her case has claimed. Chairman Dr. Shuley told a press conference in all cases death or injury were due to natural causes or just bad medical care. Letby, who is serving 15 whole life sentences for murdering 7 babies and attempting to murder 7 others between 2015 and 2016, has already lost 2 bids to appeal against her convictions. The panel's findings are likely to form part of an application which has been made by her lawyers to the Criminal Cases Review Commission for her case to be investigated as a potential miscarriage of justice. The lengthy and medically technical press conference was organised by Letby's legal team, who had said the panel would present significant new medical evidence. Dr. Lee, a Canadian neonatal care expert, said there were alternative explanations for each of Letby's convictions for murder or attempted murder. He said he became involved in the case after learning that an academic paper he co-authored on air embolism, one of the methods Letby was said to have used to attack babies, had formed part of the prosecution case in her trial. Dr. Lee said the 14 experts, including medical professions from Canada, the US, Japan, Germany, Sweden, and the UK, Dr. Lee said the 14 experts, including medical professionals from Canada, the US, Japan, Germany, Sweden, and the UK, had looked at 17 cases at the heart of Letby's prosecution and had compiled an impartial, evidence-based report. The report presented at the conference was a summary of the panel's findings, and the full report would be submitted to Letby's legal team, Dr. Lee said. Dr. Lee provided what he said were highly detailed grounds, baby by baby, for concluding that none of the murders occurred. He added, "We did not find any murders. In all cases, death or injury were due to natural causes or just bad medical care. Lucy was charged with 7 murders and 7 attempted murders," he said. "In our opinion, the medical evidence doesn't support murder in any of these babies. Our full report will go to Letby's barrister later this month. Then it will be up to him and the courts to decide what next to do." During Letby's trial, the prosecution referred to the 1989 paper by Dr. Lee that looked at cases of air embolus, referring to injuries caused when air is injected into a baby's arteries or veins after staff at the Countess of Chester reported skin discoloration on some of the babies. In the cases Dr. Lee analysed in his paper, those injuries had happened accidentally. The prosecution in the cases Dr. Lee analysed in his paper, those injuries had happened accidentally. The prosecution argued that one of the methods Letby used to injure or kill babies was to inject air into their veins, and used Dr. Lee's paper to back that claim. In the paper, Dr. Lee described a distinct discoloration on the baby's skin in 10% of cases. Okay. And then scrutinized. So, however, at the press conference, Dr. Lee said in all of the cases in his paper, air was injected into the baby's arteries, not their veins. He said that the skin discoloration described in the paper was not possible when air was injected into the veins. Dr. Lee said he had recently updated his academic paper and found no cases of skin discoloration linked to air embolism by the venous system. He prefaced his remarks by saying that the thoughts of each panel were with the families of the babies who had died. Former neonatal nurse Letby, now 35, lost 2 bids to challenge her convictions at the Court of Appeal last year. The prosecution's medical case was scrutinised by the Court of Appeal in May last year and found to be safe. And the judges noted Letby herself did not present any experts at her trial offering an alternative view. Dr. Lee had offered to give evidence to the Court of Appeal as part of Letby's application for permission to appeal, but 3 senior judges said his conclusions did not undermine her convictions. The judges concluded there had been no prosecution expert evidence diagnosing air embolus solely on the basis of skin discoloration. Earlier, the CCRC said Letby's lawyers had applied to the commission to investigate her case as a potential miscarriage of justice. The body said it would now assess the application and determine whether there was new evidence which presented a reasonable chance of a conviction being overturned. A CCRC spokesperson said, "We are aware that there has been a great deal of speculation and commentary surrounding Lucy Letby's case, much of it from parties with only a partial view of the evidence. We ask that everyone remembers the families affected by the events at the Countess of Chester Hospital between June 2015 and June 2016. Mark MacDonald, Letby's barrister, said that because her previous legal team had not called a medical expert at her trial, the information presented was new, fresh evidence. He said the nurse was convicted because of the medical evidence, and if that was wrong, any circumstantial evidence would fall away. The most important thing, the reason why Lucy Letby was convicted was because of the medical evidence that was presented to the jury that today has been demolished," he said. Veteran MP Sir David Davis, who has been assisting Letby's legal team, described her convictions as one of the major injustices of modern times. Okay, so that's the article. And, I wasn't there. At the end of the day, I wasn't there. And most of you listening to the video weren't there, for any of it. It's just a very sad case, the fact that babies lost their lives and, she was also convicted for attempting to murder other babies. So the thoughts go with the families. And, it's a very difficult one. It sounds like the appeals are going to continue. And at the end of the day, have there been cases where it turns out someone was completely innocent? Yes. But, we're all not going to know unless we were there. She was convicted. It was proved beyond reasonable doubt. So that has to be looked at. But also, it's always worth keeping in the back of your mind there have been cases where people, were convicted and then years later, sometimes many years later, it was proven that, or the case was reviewed and it was concluded that they shouldn't have been convicted. Again, there's a difference between me saying someone is innocent or guilty in terms of they actually did it or didn't do it, as opposed to whether they can be convicted in court by proving beyond reasonable doubt. So there is a difference there. I'm not saying she did it. I'm not saying she didn't do it. I'm not accused. My purpose of this video isn't to accuse. I will say she was convicted. She was convicted of the crime she was convicted for. But in terms of whether she did or didn't do it, that's not what I'm saying. And also what I'm saying is sometimes someone might have actually done it, but because their conviction was ultimately overturned because it was actually shown that there wasn't enough evidence. So, courts can be messy. And, sometimes it's not a black and white situation in terms of, not in terms of the actual what happened, but in terms of proving it in a court. And not only that, but the legal sort of aspects of a case. It can be very complicated. But I just pray that the right conclusion was applied. You know, the right conclusion occurred, and you know, if there is anything that didn't occur that should have occurred, or you know, I hope that that can happen in the future. But the most important thing for me is that the families can heal. So let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video. If you appreciate my work and want to leave a donation, there's a link for that in the description. With that, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.